Nick Carraway serves as the book's narrator. Nick is an honest and tolerant man from Minnesota and lives on a part of Long Island called West Egg. He also lives next to some mysterious guy named Jay Gatsby, a wealthy and mysterious man who will be important later on. At the East Egg lives Daisy Buchanan, Nick's cousin, and her rich husband, Tom Buchanan. Nick is invited to dinner at Daisy's home and meets a woman named Jordan Baker. Jordan is a professional golfer and a friend of Daisy and Tom. However, she's a careless person and also very dishonest. During dinner, Tom leaves to pick up a ringing phone. Jordan tells Nick that it's likely it's his lover from New York, who he has an affair with that he barely attempts to hide. After an awkward dinner, Nick leaves to home and suddenly sees his neighbor Gatsby for the first time, come out of his mansion and reach his arm towards the water where a green light glows. The Valley of Ashes is a desolate and gloomy place between West Egg and New York. There's also a huge billboard with some dude's eyes wearing glasses that just watch over everything in the Valley of Ashes. Tom brings Nick to a garage where his lover, Myrtle Wilson, lives. Her husband, George Wilson, is the owner of the garage. Myrtle, Tom, and Nick go to New York City where they meet with Myrtle's sister that we don't care about. Everyone starts getting drunk and Myrtle complains about her life and Tom being married to Daisy. Tom gets angry that Myrtle keeps mentioning Daisy's name, so like the responsible adult that he is, he strikes her in the face and breaks her nose. Nick gets out of there and takes a train back to Long Island. Jay Gatsby is known for his amazing parties and Nick receives an invitation to the party. Nick arrives to the party and it is big. Nick feels out of place but then runs into Jordan Baker. Nick, Jordan, and a few other guests discuss about Gatsby's mysterious past. Nobody really knows who Gatsby is and how he got so rich. Some of the guests speculate that he could be a German spy graduated from Oxford and may have even murdered a man. Nick and Jordan go on a search mission to figure out who the heck Gatsby is. They run into a man at a bar and ask him if he knows who Gatsby is. So, we're looking for a guy named Gatsby. Have you seen him? I'm Gatsby. Oh. Nick realizes that he and Gatsby once served in the same division during World War I. He also notices that Gatsby doesn't really interact with the other guests. A butler comes to Jordan and tells her that Gatsby wants to meet with her. When she returns from the meeting, she tells Nick that she has been told about an amazing story. Nick goes to return home and finds himself attracted to Jordan, despite the fact that she's dishonest. Gatsby and Nick hang out with each other and head to the city to have lunch. Gatsby talks about his past, claiming he had wealthy parents that lived in the Midwest, studied at Oxford, and was a war hero. Nick feels skeptical about Gatsby's story. In the city, Nick and Gatsby meet Meyer Waldschine, Gatsby's business partner, and Nick gets shady vibes from him. After lunch, Nick and Gatsby meet Tom Buchanan. Gatsby seems uncomfortable and leaves. Later, Nick meets Jordan again and she tells him what Gatsby told her last chapter. Apparently before the war, Gatsby and Daisy used to be in a relationship but Daisy's family was against it because he was poor and Gatsby was sent to war. She ends up marrying Tom instead. After the war, Gatsby dedicated himself to getting rich to win Daisy back and specifically bought a mansion near her to be closer with her and to show off his money. Also remember that green light? That light comes from Daisy's dot, by the way. As Nick heads home, he's surprised by Gatsby who asks him to help him with a plan. He wants Nick to invite Daisy over for tea so he can meet with her. Nick agrees and invites Daisy to tea and specifically tells her not to bring Tom. While preparing, Gatsby goes a bit overboard and worries the day will be ruined because it is raining. Daisy and Gatsby meet and it's pretty awkward. Gatsby is getting all panicky and Nick decides to leave them alone for a while. When he returns he sees that they are no longer embarrassed and seem to actually be getting along with each other. They later head to Gatsby's mansion where Gatsby gives a tour of his mansion. Daisy is overwhelmed by his wealth and even begins to cry when she sees his shirts. Nick sees that his presence has been forgotten and decides to leave them alone. Nick learns that Gatsby used to be James Gatz, who was born on a poor North Dakota farm. He only spent 2 weeks in college while working as a janitor but quit because the job was too humiliating. He meets a guy named Dan Cody and works as his assistant. When Cody dies, he leaves Gatsby a whopping $25,000 but was unable to claim it. Gatsby then decides to dedicate himself to becoming rich. Nick, Tom, and Daisy attend a party at Gatsby's and nobody seems to be having fun. Tom doesn't seem to like Gatsby and doesn't want Daisy near him. After the party, Gatsby goes to Nick and is worried that Daisy didn't have a good time. He wants things to be the way they used to be and wants Daisy to leave Tom. Nick says that he can't just go back to the past but Gatsby believes that with his money he can go back to the past. Gatsby stops throwing parties because he doesn't need them to attract Daisy's attention anymore. He also gets rid of some of his own servants to prevent gossiping and replaces them with Waldschine's people instead. Nick goes to the Buchanan's home for lunch and also finds Gatsby and Jordan there. Gatsby and Daisy get all lovey-dovey behind Tom's back and Tom suspects that they are having an affair. Everyone takes a trip to New York. Nick, Jordan, and Tom ride in Gatsby's car while Gatsby and Daisy ride together in Tom's car. Gatsby's car is running out of gas, so the trio head to the Wilsons' garage. George tells Tom that he learns that Myrtle has been having an affair with someone and that they are planning to move to the West, so Tom may not just be losing his wife, he might be losing his mistress too. In New York, things start to get heated. During an argument, Gatsby claims that Daisy never loved Tom and only loves him. Now Gatsby, Tom, and Daisy are all arguing about who Daisy loves, and Daisy claims that she has feelings for both Gatsby and Tom. Tom tells Gatsby to drive Daisy back home and is sure that Gatsby won't be after her anymore. As Tom, Nick, and Jordan drive back, they stumble upon the dead body of Myrtle. She had been struck by a yellow car coming from New York and nobody knows who killed her because the driver immediately sped away. Nick realizes that the car must have been the car Gatsby and Daisy were driving. Back at the Buchanan's home, Nick finds Gatsby hiding. Gatsby admits that Daisy was the one driving the car but plans on taking the blame for it. Gatsby tells Nick about his past with Daisy. It's late, so Nick heads out, and on his way out, he tells Gatsby that he is worth the whole damn bunch put together. Meanwhile, George is upset over Myrtle's death, and after gathering testimonies from others, he is convinced that it was Gatsby who killed Myrtle. So like the responsible adult that he is, he goes to Gatsby's place, and shoots Gatsby and then himself. Nick heads to the West Side and finds the dead bodies of Gatsby and George. Nick tries to reach out to Gatsby's friends to hold a funeral for him, but they've all seemed to have vanished, including Tom and Daisy, who have moved away. Only Nick, a few of Gatsby's acquaintances, and Gatsby's father, Henry Gatz, come to Gatsby's funeral. Nick and Henry Gatz talk with each other, and Henry Gatz tells Nick that he is proud of Gatsby's achievements. Nick and Jordan decide to break off their relationship, and Jordan claims that she is marrying someone else, which Nick doesn't believe. Nick later encounters Tom in New York and learns that Tom told Wilson that Gatsby killed Myrtle and says that Gatsby deserved to die. Nick is disgusted and concludes that Tom and Daisy are careless and use their money to get away with their actions. Before leaving for Minnesota, Nick visits Gatsby's shore and thinks about Gatsby's dreams and the green light across the bay. So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past.